Hello everybody and welcome back to another CTF walkthrough. Today we're going to be doing Fluffy from HackTheBox. And this is rated as an easy Windows machine. I found this one a little bit on the more difficult side just because the privilege escalation is something I've personally never seen before. But if you're familiar with ADCS, I think you'll be just fine. But without further ado, let's just hop straight into the box and see how you did. So starting the box, we get credentials. So it's similar to real pen test engagements. You're going to start this box with credentials. In this case, we have Jay Fleischman with Joel the Man 1990. And this is our IP of 10.10.11.69. I'm going to run an Nmap scan on this IP, so Nmap-T4 for sort of a quicker scan, -A for all flags, and then our IP of 10.10.11.69, and we're going to output it into an nmap.txt format. And while that runs, we can perform some basic enumeration on our user here. So we already have credentials, so we can just throw these around and see where we authenticate, if we have any permissions, etc. And to do this, I like to use netexec. So netexec SMB, and then our IP of 10.10.11.69. Our user of, I guess I can paste that in and then parse it out like this. And make sure you use single quotes here. It's a habit that I like to use just whenever I'm entering credentials, but especially whenever you have special characters, if you don't put the single quotes, netexec is going to have a hard time escaping these characters. So make sure you use single quotes just to save you some headache. And I guess the first thing we should do is to make sure we authenticate. So let that run. It's taking a long time. Oh, there it is. Just took a little bit. So yeah, we authenticate. That is a great sign. I'll make this a little bigger. And then let's do --shares. Shares is the first thing I like to do. There's a few SMB enumeration tricks I like to do. Shares is one of them. I like to do --users. And it looks like we actually have a share that we can read and write to. So we have access to the IT share with read and write privileges. So that's definitely something we want to take note of. More importantly, the write. Whenever I see write on a share, I like to think of a watering hole attack. So I like to think of like a malicious Windows LNK file. These are essentially just malicious files you can drop into the IT share. And if any user, regardless of who they are, just go into that share and look at the file, they don't have to interact with it. They just have to look at the file because it's a shortcut. So it's a malicious LNK shortcut. They look at the file and they're going to authenticate, and we can steal their NTLM hash via responder. So that's a really cool attack that I'm going to try really quick because it's super quick. But first, let's look at our Nmap scan. I'm assuming it's just going to be normal Active Directory. Yep. DNS, Kerberos, LDAP, RPC, SMB, all of the normal stuff, and WinRM. So normal, normal stuff there. And I guess we can also add to Etsy hosts the domain name or the host name. So nano, sudo nano Etsy hosts, Alley, and this will be HackTheBox 10.10.11.69. We'll do gso1.fluffy.hb and fluffy.htb. Control S to save, Control X to exit, and now close this pane, make this bigger again, just so we have something nice to look at. And I'll list out those shares again, just to get them all nice. So I definitely want to look at this. I want to try dropping an LLK file in there, and we can do that, as I was saying, easily with netexec. So we can use the -m. So -m in netexec is for modules. So m slinky, and then -o for the options. And I think you'll be able to list options, -l. I'm not exactly sure how to list options in netexec. I just remember what they are. -o module options, maybe, oh, -- options, or that could be just like, oh, there we go. So we have a server and we need a name. those are the two ones we really need. It'll look for the shares automatically to write to. We don't need to do cleanup, and we don't need to ignore any shares. So -o is going to be server equals, this can be RIP, so 10.10.14.123. And name is, we can do like look here. And I think that's all we need. It should look for the writable share, which in this case is IT, and drop that malicious LNK file, which has a callback to our machine. And it finds the LNK. So I'll go, I guess, on my first monitor and sudo responder -I for interface ton0 -dp. Cali, make sure SMB is on. Where's SMB? Yep, SMB is on. So if this is the path, we should see events here, but we can give it a little bit and we can come back here, and I want to enumerate the share. So we have read and write access. We have tried abusing the write access for now, but we haven't actually seen what's in the share. So I'm going to use SMB client to go into the share. IT-U is going to be J, oops, double quoted there, J Fleischman with, and SMB client uses the % symbol to delineate the username and the password. So username, password, and I think this is all we need. Should, yep. So if we do pwd, we see we're in the IT share, we do a quick ls, and we actually have a lot of stuff here. So we've got key pass, which is interesting. We see this is our LNK file. We have a .rar file, upgrade notice. So let's get all of these. So let's do mget, I think, or we have to enable recursive. This is some new syntax I just learned. You can, or maybe it's just recursive, recurse, and then mget star. Yep, and then we just have to spam y. I think there is a way to get around this, but I guess I probably shouldn't have. Ooh, it's downloading everything from the zip file. Perhaps I don't want that. Let me get out of that and see what do we download. I can remove my text or my LNK file. I'm going to remove test.rar because that's actually not part of the box. There's other users on that box, and that is one of their files. So I'm going to look at this PDF first, and then we can look at KeyPass and everything. This is a ominously named file, but let's grab KeyPass, or sorry, upgrade notice first. So we can do open and then paste this, and let's see, Fluffy. Patch announcement, mandatory time slot booking for critical updates, and this is for the IT department. Multiple high-impact vulnerabilities have been publicly disclosed. All administrators are instructed to schedule a maintenance time slot to upgrade all systems in accordance. So let's see, and we found the vulnerabilities. So these are the vulnerabilities that they are facing. So we got multiple here. I wonder if they give any more detail. Okay. I mean, this makes our job really easy because we just need to look up these vulnerabilities, see what they are, and go from there. So let's look up this first one and read the description and see if it matches here. So going to the NIST article, external control of file name or path in Windows NTLM allows unauthorized attacker to perform spoofing over a network. I don't know if that quite matches what we have here, maybe. But let's look at this other one. Let's look at this NIST article. Exposure of sensitive information to an unauthorized attacker in Windows File Explorer allows attacker to perform spoofing over a network. Maybe, because Windows File Explorer, I suppose a user could access the SMB share through Windows File Explorer. Let's look a little deeper. Let's look at this Rapid7 article. I usually like looking at the Rapid7 articles because NIST is very vague. And it looks like Rapid7 is also very vague. I want a little more of a description on this. What if I look up POCs for both of these? I want to see what the POC looks like. And I'm going to wait to look at the highs right now, because I feel like the criticals are going to be a little more important. So GitHub is usually a good place to look. And it's just the same generic description. Okay, what about this other one? Oh, I just opened a new Firefox tab. If I look up POC, let's see if we get anything. We do. Let's look at both of these. Okay, I've exceeded the rate limit. Great. Windows Library File Creator. Points to network shares. Okay, hold on. This could be something. It's designed to demonstrate how this CVE vulnerability can be exploited through GitHub Actions. Okay. What's the other one? All right, I guess I'm not going to see the other one. I like looking at a bunch of different POCs just to get the idea down and just make sure I'm understanding what the CVE actually is. So I don't know if I really want to do a Rust CVE. I wonder if there's one in Python. But let's look for another POC. And if we don't find one, then I guess we'll give this one a shot. It's been a very long time since I've done this box, so if you are, apologies about my slowness, but it's essentially another blind walkthrough. Here we go, here's Python. Let's see. The issue arises from implicit trust and automatic file parse behavior of library MS. An unauthenticated attacker can exploit this vulnerability by constructing a rar/zip file containing a malicious SMB path. This is really what we're looking for. This is the description that is going to help us understand, one, what the actual vulnerability is and the impact of it in our specific scenario. So we have write access to an SMB share. And if we construct a malicious rar/zip file containing a malicious SMB path, and this is really similar to what we did with the LNK file, except instead of it being a shortcut, it's a rar.zip file that someone's going to have to extract. Upon decompression, this triggers SMB authentication, which potentially exposes the user's NCL hash. So this is exactly what we're looking for. And let's look at the exploit. Very short. I love that. Let's copy it and nano exploit.py, paste. Let's see if we do need to provide any arguments. I think it's all through the command line, so I think we're good. Yep, and you see here, like this is the malicious like SMB, like this is what's gonna call back to us on responder. And I guess I should just check responder. Yeah, nothing has happened yet, but we're gonna keep it on because it is the exact same process. So let's Python 3 exploit.py, see what we need to use. So file name can be exploit.zip. Oh, without extensions, just exploit. -I is going to be 10.10.11.69. And I wonder if that's it. Oh wait, no, this should be our IP address. This should be our IP address, 10.10.14.123, because it's calling back to us. So this IP address is what's calling back to us. So we want this to be our responder IP. So if we do this, it should generate the exploit.zip file, and then we just need to drop it in. Yep. So we have exploit.zip now. And if we go back SMB client to 10.10.11.69 IT-u, go back up here, copy, paste. Dang it, I double quoted again. And SMB client's really nice because we can just do put. So we do put our exploit.zip. You throw it in here, and then we go to responder. And we wait. We see if we get anything back here. So put is essentially just upload. So if we do a quick ls, we see exploit.zip. And make sure we are listening on SMB. I guess I could have done verbose here, but this is the moment of truth. I give it maybe 20 or 30 seconds. Target IP. I guess we could try extracting it on our machine to see if it works. But it's looking like which is not working as we'd hoped. Oh, and just as I say that, we get a hash, which is very relieving because I would have not really known what had gone wrong there. So as expected, we drop this malicious.zip, and if it gets extracted, then there is an SMB authentication request, which of course contains the user's hash. In this case, it's p.agila. I'm gonna go with agila. p.agila, and they authenticate via SMB to extract this file, and it points directly to our server. So when we provided our IP here, this is pointing back to us, and we are of course listening here on responder with SMB enabled, and we're able to respond to that authentication request saying, yep, you can authenticate here, and that is how we intercept that hash. So I can exit this, grab our hash here, and I can close out of SMB client, nano, hash.txt, paste this, and let's run hashcat on this. I believe it's M5600 is NTLM v2. I'm really banking on that being right. So let's see. And then, so we're going to provide our hash file that we just created, and then rocky.txt is sort of the default that everyone goes to in CTFs and HackTheBox. It's kind of the go-to. So let's let this crack. Hopefully it cracks. If we don't get this to crack, we'll have to find another avenue, but it looks like I did get the hash right. It is 5600, which is fantastic, and our hash cracks. So Prometheus 303 is the password. So nanocreds.txt and p.agila with Prometheus 303. So now we have our two users. And I guess I did say for SMB enumeration, I usually get the user list. And I guess I might as well still do that. Next, like SMB, I can just go up and show you guys how this works. You pretty much just do -- users, and it'll spit back a list of users. And this is good just for general enumeration purposes, just to see who's all on the box, and there's not a ton. So I usually just don't worry about the first three. Then we have a certificate authority service, LDAP service, WinRM service, our user we just compromised, J. Fleischman, who is our initial user, and then J.Coffee, who we do not know anything about. So normally I'd make a list of users here, and I guess we still can do that just for the purpose of education. So I'll copy up to here, nano users.txt, just like that. And then we are going to awk. This is, I'm still learning how to use awk, but this is a pretty easy use case. We just print the 5th column here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is our usernames of the users.txt. And we get our clean users list. So nice use case of awk, really easy to do. If I can do it, you can do it. And then you just copy paste your new users list. So if we ever want to do like a password spraying attack or something like that, we could use this users list just being all clean. to perform that. But we have p.agila, and we can do some more enumeration as p.agila, make sure that we actually authenticate as that user and with that password. And we can also see what shares p.agila has, if any additional ones. Certainly it's going to have read access to the IT share. Yeah, so it's the same permissions, so we don't need to abuse that again. What about, let's go to LDAP. So LDAP, and we are going to grab bloodhound information. So -- bloodhound DNS server DNS, or DNS server is going to be our IP here, and then DNS TCP, and we're going to --c all for collect all. And I'm going to head back to my first desktop here, cd into opt, and sudo bloodhound CLI up, which should start up my bloodhound services, and looks like it is, which is great. And we see we get bloodhound, the bloodhound zip file, which is perfect. So usually what I like to do, I have to keep it here in this default file, but I also like to copy it over to my current directory, just because it's nice to have things here. And while bloodhound is starting, I will clean up my directory here just to keep things organized. So I'm going to make dir SMB, the SMB files, and I'll move everything to SMB, and then move key pass to SMB, and then move exploit.i and exploit.zip. My goodness, SMB. I'm sure there's a faster way to do this, and I'm forgetting. I'm looking silly, but that's okay. And then move upgrade notice as well to SMB. And I think that is good. Okay. Bloodhound should be started, so I can go to Firefox, open 127.0.0.1, so localhost 8080. I'll auto log in. Thank you, thank you, Firefox. And then we get into Bloodhound. So if this is your first time looking at Bloodhound, it can be very overwhelming and a little confusing to start. But essentially, Bloodhound is just a visual GUI of relationships and objects in Active Directory. So it makes enumerating. So let's go here. HackTheBox videos Fluffy bloodhound.zip upload. So it makes enumerating and it makes finding over permissive relationships just incredibly easy, because it's all laid out in a GUI, and you'll see that soon, how you'll see your user object. So in this case, p.agila is the user we've compromised, and we can also look at Joel's, I'm assuming it's Joel, but Jay Fleischman's. We can look at their permissions as well and see if they're over permissive. I'm assuming not, but we can just look at all these user objects. We can look at what they have and where they can get to with the permission set that they have. And it can sound a little confusing and certainly intimidating. I know I was incredibly scared the first time I opened up Bloodhound. So don't feel, it's okay to feel intimidated, but follow along and you will be just fine. And so it might take a little while to ingest, but take a water break if you have it. And of course, of course I say that. And it's done. Let's go to Explore. Take a little water break, and then search up p.agila. And there they are, being really slow right now. I'm going to right-click, click Add to Owned. And on the right-hand side, you can see that we have a ton of information about this user. So SID, logons, password last set, all this good stuff. But really what matters in Bloodhound is outbound object control, because this is the over permissive I just talked about. So what permissions does our user have and where can they impact? So we see that we're a member of the service account managers, and the service account managers has genericAll, which is essentially every permission over the service accounts. So you can click on this edge. So objects are essentially nodes in Bloodhound. They're synonymous in that sense. And these lines that connect the nodes are edges. And the edges are what the permissions are. So we click on genericAll, go to Linux abuse, and we can see there's a few things we can do. We have essentially every permission on the service account. So we can add ourselves to the group. We should just be able to give ourselves the same permissions on the service accounts. So we can do that with bloody AD. I'm gonna go over to my second desktop. Oh man, I don't know what the heck that is, but close out, I guess. Close out of that. Errors. Say a strange error. And then we can close out of these Firefox tabs as well. Make things run a little smoother. Okay, so Bloody AD is a fantastic tool for this kind of DACL permission abuse. So let's wait for it to come up with its fun menu. And you see there's a ton of options here, but more importantly, the add, get, set, remove. These are all the categories here that we can use to abuse this particular relationship between p.agila and the service account managers and the service account groups. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to add genericAll directly to this relationship. So instead of having to go through the service account managers, we're just going to go directly to the service accounts. And again, we can do this with bloody AD. We're going to do bloody AD add, and then I'll do -help. We're going to add genericAll to service accounts. I think genericAll. I wonder if it's a little more specific. Target and trustee. So the target in this case is going to be the group name, so service accounts. And then the trustee, I believe, is just going to be our user, p.agila. And then, of course, we need to add username, your username, password, and DCIP. Password. And then let's also do DCIP of 10.10.11.69, and we'll see if that works. Sometimes you also need to add the host. I think I actually have to do these first. So I'll copy those, move them to the front of the command. And there we go. So we now have genericAll on all service accounts. So if we did another Bloodhound query and we ingested this data again, we would now see a direct line here between p.agila and the service accounts. But what does the service accounts actually do? So we can click here and click instead of outbound object control. So the service accounts, we see we have generic write on 3 separate accounts. So we can generic write on CA service, LDAP service, and the WinRM service. And out of all of these, the most interesting to me is the CA service. So this is certificate authority. And this is just because it's a very common priv-esque technique, and there's a ton of misconfigurations you can do with certificate authority. So we're going to look at this one first. And if it doesn't work, I think my next option is going to be WinRM, because with WinRM, we'll be able to actually get into the box. And I actually didn't check with p.agila. I don't know if we're part of the WinRM group. We're not. So with the WinRM service, we're probably able to WinRM into the box, but let's look at outbound object control, service accounts, outbound object control. So it's kind of hard to see because my LDAP data isn't updated, but imagine that we have p.agila here who has genericAll on here, and then we now have generic write on CA service. But how can we abuse that? Again, we're going to click into the edge here, go to Linux abuse, and there's 2 things we can do. We can do a targeted Kerberos attack, or we can do a shadow credential attack. Targeted Kerberos attacks are usually good, but it means we're going to have to crack a hash, and it's sort of a 50-50. We can do it quickly, but I like to do shadow credentials first, just because it's more reliable. I found that's more reliable, and we can actually do this with bloody AD again. So going back to our syntax here, we can essentially do a super similar thing, and I'm actually going to add myself. I'm thinking I want to add myself to the service accounts, but we don't have to right now. I just realized I messed up when I'm saying you actually can't. Bloody AD isn't for shadow credential attacks. You can actually use certipy for shadow credential attacks. So certipy AD, and we'll pull up the settings here again. There's a ton of different settings, and including, oh my goodness. I'll run that again just to save some eyes. Oops, certify, including a shadow. So again, if you use shadow credentials for account takeover, that's exactly what we want to do. So certify shadow, -H, we'll see all the accounts or all the things here we can do. And there's a lot. So -account is the target account. We'll just go through these settings one by one, make it easy. So the account we want to take over is the CA service. We can do DCIP 10.10.11.69. And then I'm assuming it's just -U-P. Yep, -U is going to be agila, p.agila at fluffy.htb, because I think it wants the entire user at domain. I messed the domain up. And then -p of, scroll up, Prometheus 303. And I think that's all we need. Let's try it. Shadow action. Oops, what did I miss? Shadow, positional arguments. List, add, remove, clear, auto. What's auto? I think automatically exploit. That sounds easy. Let's do that one. I think that comes after shadow. And we get, looks like we got really close. So we could not update the key credentials due to insufficient rights. Okay, so maybe it's very possible that in these HackTheBox lab environments, there's a ton of people on the box. So when configuring them, there has to be reset scripts. So maybe our permissions just got reset. We took too long from when we ran the genericAll command to this command, so where we don't have genericAll anymore. So let's go back down, copy this command, run it, and then run this now. And still no. So maybe we actually need to be a part of the service accounts group to abuse these privileges. So let's go to bloody AD, add group mem, I think, group member. I think it's member, like that. Service accounts, and then we're gonna add ourselves to the group, and now try this. And yep, looks like it's working. So I guess we had the genericAll permissions on the service accounts group, but since we weren't actually a part of the group, we had trouble doing this shadow attack, which makes sense. So we're trying to get the TGT, and we got a clock skew error. Of course we did. To remedy this, there's a lot of things you can do. You can do MP time or NPD time. I forget what that command is, but I usually like to use fake time. Fake time is my go-to, and there's a command here that I'm going to copy here, and it's NTP update or NTP date. That's what I'm looking for. -Q with our domain, so fluffy.htb. And then we're going to cut the limiter of space, take the first and second field, and then run our command. And to be honest, I don't know exactly what this command does, but I know it works very well, and it resolves this clock skew error almost every time. So we're gonna try the same command, just with this in front of it, and we'll see if it works. Hopefully I got that syntax right. And just like that, it's like magic, we get the NT hash for our CA service user. And now, of course, we can use this to authenticate. 10.10.11.69 dash U, oops, CA service, and then dash H with our hash. And we should be able to get that green check. Lovely. Alrighty. Now, the next thing on our list is, so this is the CA service. This is the certificate authority service account. So naturally, we have to assume that this account deals with certificates and just any certificates on the domain, so ADCS. And to enumerate and exploit any potential services, or sorry, not services, but certificates, we can use certipy. So the same command, or the same tool that we used for actually getting this account's hash, we can use to enumerate. And then if you caught it, we can find enumerate ADCS. And there's a ton of ADCS here, so we can find, we can manage the CA, we can authenticate using certificates, we can manage user machine accounts. There's a ton of stuff that we can do here. We can request certificates. So obviously certipy is for certificates. So let's do this. So certipy ID, we're gonna find, and then I'm gonna do a dash H because I don't remember the command off the top of my head. Find, I think we just do our username and password, and then the DCIP. I think this command is pretty self-explanatory, and it's not dash H, I believe it's, yeah, dash hashes. Dash hashes, and then we have to add the colon here because it'll get angry if we don't. Dash dash DCIP, 10.10.11.69, and it might need the host name as well. Let's just try that. Oh, we also need enabled and vulnerable is the other commands here. So it's only going to go after the enabled, oops. It's only going to go after the enabled templates and the vulnerable ones. And it's not going to go after the vulnerable ones, but it's going to show us at the bottom of our output here, it'll show us which templates are vulnerable and what they are vulnerable to. So we successfully retrieved the CA configuration for this certificate authority, and we got our output. So we can cat this, pipe it to JQ, which is just makes it a little easier to read. And so we have our CA name here. We've got, let's see. Permissions. There actually is a vulnerability here. Cool. I'm looking for the template that's actually vulnerable, and I cannot find it here, which is strange, but I guess it's okay. I guess we don't need it. So there actually is a vulnerability here, and it is ESC16. And the description here is security extension is disabled. But a little more about ESC16, and we can actually go read about it. Certipy is a fantastic tool, not only because it's awesome and it works like a charm, but because the documentation is incredibly extensive. So you can go here on their website and look at all of the stuff they have, and ESC16 is the most recent one. So it says security extensions disabled on the certificate authority. And it basically, you can go in and read all about the different sort of nuances of why this works, but the gist of the ESC16 is us as the CA service can update our own account UPN to impersonate any other user on the domain. And of course, the user that we're looking for is going to be administrator. So we can impersonate the administrator by updating our own account's UPN. And then with that impersonated UPN, we can request a certificate as that user. So we're going to request a certificate as the administrator, and then we can use that certificate that we just requested to authenticate to the domain, because Kerberos is going to trust certificates with matching UPNs, and since the UPN matches, oh, administrator requested this, and they're authenticating with that same UPN, or with that same certificate, same UPN, it's good to go. So we can authenticate with by impersonating the administrator via our CA service account. So let's see, how do we actually do this? Scenario A, I think I just scrolled past it. Exploitation. So again, Certify has incredible documentation. So we can literally just copy and paste these commands and you don't have to remember anything. So I'll do this, the little split screen going, and let's go here. So certipy AD account, and then our username is going to be the CA service. And then our hashes is going to be, I'll scroll up here, like this. And I can probably actually just copy this part. It's going to be the same every time. So dash hashes, RDCIP, and then the UPN that we want to impersonate. In this case, we're going to do the administrator UPN, and then the user. It looks. Oh wait. Oh, this is optional. Okay, we want to go to number 2. I was getting a little ahead of myself. So we're going to go to number 2. Update the victim's UPN account to the target administrator. So our account. I keep reading like towards the middle of the page. Gotta stop doing that. UPN administrator dash user is going to be our CA service, and update. So we're authenticating with CA service via the hash. We're going to impersonate the administrator user and apply that UPN to our CA service account. And it looks like it successfully worked. So we successfully updated the UPN of the CA service account. So again, if we redid Bloodhound, we would go to Bloodhound and click the service account, and we would see the UPN here, or wherever it is. Where's the UPN? Well, we see the UPN here that it would be the administrator. So that is what that command did. We scroll down here. And if needed, obtain shadow credentials for the victim. We already did this, so we don't need to do that. I think. Yeah, we already have this. So next, we're going to request a certificate as the quote-unquote victim, but really as the administrator. Certipy, I can probably just go up. Certipy request. And then DCIP, the CA of Fluffy DC01 CA. And then the template, I'm missing something. I'm missing dash target, which is the same thing as, I think target. Oh, target is the host. Target is dco1.fluffy.htb. Certificate authority is this, and then the template is what I was looking for earlier, but I could not find any certificate templates. So there's probably not any custom templates. I have to assume it's like a default template. It's probably like the user of the workstation template. So I'm going to go without the template and see what happens. And if nothing happens, then I'm just going to guess the user template to start before actually looking into it and listing out all of them. And it looks like we don't even need the template. So we have the administrator.pfx, which is exactly what we're looking for, as seen here. And then we can optionally revert the victims. We can revert CA service UPN back to normal. We don't need to do that in this case. And then we can authenticate, certipy AD. I'll delete this stuff. Authenticate as the administrator. So authenticate with the pfx file of administrator.pfx, and domain, I don't think we need to add the dash username. Domain is fluffy.htb. And we should, cross our fingers. Oh, does not work. Maybe we do need the username. Username administrator. Nope. Mismatch between certificate and user administrator. Verify that the username administrator matches the UPN administrator. And this is a very strange error. And I think there's a few reasons why this happens, but it could be something with Kerberos. So it could be something where we need to use fake time again. So I'm going to scroll up and find my fake time command. Because I do recall when I first did this box, there was a similar issue, and it's probably best practice just to use fake time for everything. Where is it? No time like the present to learn control. What's the reverse lookup? Watch this. This is real-time learning. Kali Linux reverse lookup CLI. I don't want to like DNS lookup. Reverse, I guess, command lookup. That's not what I'm looking for here. I swear there's a thing you can do in your terminal to look at previous commands and like search for previous commands. It's like Control F, but better. So we'll just grab this, put it down here, and then add this here. And we'll try again, cross our fingers, and still no luck. So perhaps skipping a step here was my my downfall. So let's go and let's request another thing, and let's add that template of user. I guess if it is in the documentation, I shouldn't be skipping it. And we're going to add actually a UPN field. I want to add a UPN parameter here just to make sure we don't get that error again. So administrator at fluffy.htb. So the full UPN should help us. And I guess I should capitalize this just in case. So this should work now with the new PFX. Just specifying the user template and the full UPN. So giving us that UPN error, I guess that's a hint towards, yes, we want to overwrite it. And now we want to try this again. And we get that same UPN error. I guess let's try fake time. And dang it, we still got the same UPN error. So maybe I'll try the entire, let's remove administrator.pfx, and let's try this entire thing over again. So I'm going to account UPN administrator. Maybe I need to add at fluffy.htb. Update. Okay, we successfully updated it. Now we want to request as that user. So Fluffy, yeah, that's the right DA, certificate authority. This is the right target. It's the right DCIP. Template is going to be user. UPN is going to be administrator. I guess I'll do lowercase a just for consistency there. So it should get a new and then I wonder if we need to, let's try again, but I have a hunch here. Let's try this one more time with authenticate. Certify auth, DCIP, administrator.pfx, domain is fluffy.htb, username is administrator. Cross our fingers. No. Okay, so I have a hunch here that we may need to actually update our account again. Let's see if this works. No. It's very, very strange. Maybe it's because I'm not doing, let's clear the screen and let's try this again. But I think one thing that I may not be doing is specifying the entire, I guess for the request it doesn't matter, but for the account update, I may actually need the entire UPN. Like I may need the full email and the full domain. That could be it. So I guess that we'll give this a try. And then I'll add everything in quotes just for consistency and nice colors. DCIP, user at fluffy.htb. Or I don't think we need it here. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. So user and then dash account update, user, and then the UPN of the administrator. So let's impersonate. Okay, we impersonated. Now we're going to request. So certify AD request dash U of our CA service dash 8 hashes for the hash, DCIP, target, the certificate authority, the template of user, and the UPN of, I guess I'll match the UPN here. I think there might just probably something super small off. I'll say no here. We'll keep it to this file name. And then I'm going to update my account again with that exact same command. So just the UPNs are guaranteed to match. And then we will authenticate as that. And no, dang it, still nothing. So let's, am I missing something here? Authenticate as the target administrator. Maybe I'm trying to do too much here. Maybe I don't need the DCIP, it looks right. PFX, username and domain. Oh, revert the, okay, guys, I might be a little silly. So UPN CA service at fluffy.htb. I might have been done goofing this entire time. So, and that's not right, but it's probably okay. Okay, and now try this. And that was the problem. Okay, instead of, holy cow, I can't believe I just did that. I just had a massive brain fart. That was probably like 20 minutes of straight brain farting. So instead of revert, yeah, I just didn't read this step. This is why reading steps are important. Instead of, I don't know why I was trying to re-update my account to a UPN that I already had. That was incredibly silly of me. Yeah, the lesson learned here is just read the documentation that already works. Let's finish off this box. It's been, how long has it been? This has been a 54-minute video. I'm probably gonna cut some of that out just because it was probably painful, as painful for you as it was for me. But that is the reality of it. So let's finish off this box. Let's net exec. All right, I guess we can just Evil-winrm in. Evil-winrm dash I 10, 10, 11, 69 dash U administrator, and then dash H with our, I think it just needs the LM portion. And we get in as the administrator. And of course, we can claim our user flag at C user. I guess this is administrator, so we'll get the root flag before we got the user flag. For users, I'm not exactly sure who we were supposed to get. I guess we could have got p.agila. Okay, or the WinRM service. That's probably WinRM service. WinRM service, dir, desktop. Yeah, so we could have got the WinRM service by essentially doing the exact same path of compromise. So giving p.agila genericAll, then doing a shadow credential on the WinRM service, and then authenticating to WinRM with that hash we got. But we just went straight for the kill with the CA service, and that caused us a lot of trouble. But that is going to be the box. I'm so sorry for, it depends on if I cut it out or not. I'm probably going to keep it in just for the sake of learning. But to recap, the problem here was me not learning how to read and reverting the victim account UPN, because that's why there was an account mismatch, because it was going to the CA service instead of the administrator. So the UPN, of course, was mismatched because I didn't change it back. So that is going to be the box. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This one was really cool, and I learned a ton about when I first did this box, and even now with certipy, how it works, and all the little nooks and crannies, and really the diversity of the tool and how Swiss Army knife it is. It's a super cool tool, ton of functionality. Highly recommend you to go play with it. Go play this box. Let me know how you did in the comments. Let me know if you got stuck on the certificate authority ESC 16 as well, because it seems maybe I'm the only one that doesn't know how to read, but hopefully other people fell into this problem too, so I don't feel that alone. But hopefully you enjoyed. I'll catch you all sometime again later down the line with another walkthrough. Thanks for hanging out with me, and of course, happy hacking.